Vanna, of what's your goal for the day? What is it that you want to be learning? And you record that, because you record it means you scribe it. You write it down, because what we said our intentions are, that's what we're aiming to learn from the day. So, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Great pleasure.
My heart warms to be sitting next to you and to be in front of all the women here, and I'm sure more women will join. So we came up with this day. We'll get right into it. We came up with this day. We took the .org, and one thing is for sure, I'm working in the nonprofit space for many years. Yep. My son now works at charity. He's almost 30. That's how long I'm in the nonprofit space. I started my career as a programmer. I like math and science, and my parents. I went to Aguda to learn programming and started my career there on Wall Street. And then after I had became a mother, knew that something had to change. To be a wife, a mother, and to work on Wall Street, something had to give, and I knew I wanted my job to shift. And then it came up this opportunity to do capacity building for nonprofits in the area of technology, which was my area. So I spent many years there just building my whole know-how around nonprofits. But it's not about me, it's about being introduced to a world that we see unbelievable organizations. Every nonprofit organization is started with a mission. Sometimes you have all different kind of organizations, right? How did High Lifeline start? How did today big organizations started? Because somebody went through an experience and they went through pain, and then they wanted to go back and give others. And to start a nonprofit, it's very fulfilling because you have your vision of what you want to be achieving, your mission of what you're all about, and then the services that you're going to be providing, and you have to fundraise, which is not easy. At the same time, when we go back to our mission, that's why people are giving us money. When we're all enthusiastic and inflamed and passionate about our mission, then people pick up on it and want to partner with us. So today, overall, to each of you that are here, thank you for all the good work that you do in the nonprofit space. Today's a day that's dedicated to you. Dedicated that every day you get up to serve others. Today is a day that's dedicated to serve you, to network with each other, to learn, to grow together. And the first place that we are so fortunate to have today, and totally, we know we experience miracles. Miracle that all of a sudden I was introduced to Leslie. And Leslie, what blows me away is, our title is, we made a now woman part of the .org. So it's .org/woman. Need we say more? The power of the woman. And we want to talk about how power women are leading this generosity revolution. What makes you particularly a gift to speak to is because you have the 360 degree. You're both a funder and you fundraise. And that's so important. So my first question to you is, we always, when you meet with somebody, and for the benefit of all of us, we like to hear and learn about, your personal story. What is it that inspired you to be the Leslie Ostrin? You could tell us more as you speak. How you became who you became. What was behind it? What was that fire that lit it?
Yeah. So thank you so much. First of all, they paired me. I am the least tech person ever. So as you're speaking, I'm thinking,
I'm not allowed to be
no, you're not. Out. Corbin.
You're my big sister. I thought
Thank you so much. Thank you. No boys allowed, except for the cameraman. So as you're speaking, Chaya is speaking about all of her tech background. I'm thinking, I need her with me because I am the least tech person ever. That's, I think, one of the things might be an answer to something that you might ask at some point, but definitely one thing is know what your strengths. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and my mom once said it to me, know what you're good at, know what you're not, and learn how to compensate for those things or get the support you need for those things that you're not as good at. So tech is definitely one where I pull in lots of other people, but just in terms of personal story, which I'm sure you all have very interesting, we all have our own personal story. I guess as relates to funding and fundraising and nonprofit work, so I'm the daughter of 2 survivors. From one, my mom came actually very early. She was lucky. Her family got out of Vienna early on. And my dad, unfortunately, his family was not so lucky. They ended up spending the war in Poland, and he survived. One of the, I think, 0.1% of children who actually survived the Holocaust in Poland came to this country. And so I think both of them, their outlook, their mindset, they both came to this country with literally the clothing on their back. That was it. And they built a life, and they built, thank God, a successful life. And so they, I think, really are the ones that inspired me to, through their example, they were both very leadership-oriented community leaders in their shul, in their schools, and so naturally in their federations, in their whatever, every possible organization. So I think that was a good example for me. So I would just say that that the perspective that whatever we have, which is really what they taught me, that whatever we have is really not ours. Obviously, wow. It's it's on loan, and what can we do with it to add some value or be productive in some way out there in the world? And that's truthfully, I think that really resonates in the entire nonprofit, sector, like in terms of the entire nonprofit world. I think we're probably all motivated, I think, a little bit by, we have something, whether it's financial skills, gifts, talents, and how can we sort of pay those forward to help in some capacity, in some area that is inspiring and meaningful.
That's beautiful. So what we're hearing is your parents' story and how they led by example. It wasn't that they told you that this is what you're doing. This is how they modeled this. There's an underlying give, care and give. They're all about giving and giving to the best of your capability to others, because you're here to serve. There's we spoke a lot about, the servant leadership is a whole topic of itself, how we serve the people that we lead. You spoke about, just in conversation, about know the people that you're leading, see to it that they're each using their strength, because when we're hiring, we're never looking to hire us. We know what we do well. We're looking for someone that complements what we're not as strong to complement that. In your philanthropy, when you took initiative, and I've done, reading and interviewing people that you do give to, there's an underlying that when you put yourself into something. The panel following this, the title is authenticity. That word again came up to me. You do it with your whole heart. You put into it. You chose to tell us about the area that you have selected. This is my area of passion. This is what lights me up. This is where I choose to give.
Yeah. So I think I would say Jewish education. The whole topic of education is the area that inspires me personally, but there are obviously many other areas that are and I think every area, truthfully, is inspiring and is worthy. And I would say, from putting on a funding hat for a moment, like a philanthropic mindfulness of what do we want to contribute to? Really, the amount is not the governing principle here. It's just, what do we want to give to? So I think I thought a lot about this. There's so many, and particularly, it feels like it keeps growing, the number of different, very worthy, valuable causes that I personally would like to give to, and so so it's very hard to know which one or which ones. How do you? And there's all kinds of equations. You know, I've been part of boards where I've been on allocation committees where for organizations, for nonprofit organizations, not my own personal family, just you know. And the question being, you know, do you give to something? Do you give to less amount to many causes, or do you know, focus your giving and try to make a bigger impact with a bigger amount to smaller number of organizations? So that's a tough one. I think it's just a personal. I think everybody has their own, you know, personal preferences. I try to be balanced in my thoughts about it, and I try to kind of do both a little bit. Like there'll be some organizations that just give a little bit bigger chunk to, and then try to make a smaller impact on many others that are where it will still make an impact. But bringing it back to your original question, which was, education just is the cause that I feel, I personally, again, everybody their own preference, but is very, very wide-reaching, and is also the fundamentals of, if without Jewish education, we know that we're kind of lost. So it's really it's based on many studies and polls and surveys and just personal experience, the way to, I think, deeply impact, for me, again, this is just my perspective, the way to deeply impact, all of Am Yisrael is really through education and engagement in education and affecting the next, the future generations. And
right. Right, and so seeing that impact, our future is our youth, and investing in the education for our youth today is an area that makes a difference for the future of Am Yisrael. What would you say as a donor? So here, everybody in the audience, you're all running different organizations with different mission, and some of you are in the area of Jewish education. A part of what you do is Jewish education. Leslie's not saying she came here to write checks. We're coming here to learn from how a funder thinks, because that's our job as fundraisers. What's our job as fundraisers? Learning about the people we're reaching out to. What area of what's their hot button? What are the areas that they have interest in? What are the things that make them cry? What are the things that you look out for when someone approaches you for funding? Just as we want to be able to share it as learning the mindset, the perspective of when your donor hat is on. Yeah. If you can share on that.
Yeah. I think I think so. Everybody who's in fundraising sort of knows that that giving money is an emotional thing. So if there's an organization that is doing something that is really not consonant with what you believe in, I'm not giving to that organization, because even though it could be a very worthy organization, they could be extremely impactful, long-reaching, short, but if you don't have that, if they're doing something, I'm thinking off the top of my head, I'm just thinking, let's talk just universities or schools. If they're doing something and they're not conducting themselves, and I've been in that situation where, supporting an institution that then I'm not so impressed with their policies, or that's kind of an emotional thing, and I don't really want to give to that organization. And conversely, if there's an organization that, even if it's not my hashkafa, or it's not necessarily, but they're doing something that really grabs me and really feels like how meaningful and how much impact and how many people are engaged. I think size matters a little bit from the perspective of what I just said, engagement. So if there is very, very small and like insular organizations that don't have a very broad reach could be very worthy and also could be something that I would consider funding, but something that has a broader reach or has is impacting, a wider population of people, that's something that I think I would be more likely to fund. And I think the last thing I would say is that, could talk for a year about it, but is that there's also, it's not only emotional. Like giving is not only emotional, it's also like there's some practical, like sort of like tachlis about it. So even if something is not necessarily, like I use tashkafic, but there could be something else that, that's not really important to me, but I could see how that is extremely important and very impactful on a huge group of people, and it's a super well-run organization, and they're professional, and they show, like, they have my values, let's say, like they,
Right.
they show hakaras hatov, they acknowledge, they not overboard, but like with a certain amount of like tsunua about them. Also, that would be an organization that I would give to, even if it's not just about me or my family, or it's about what are we, who are we impacting and what's the value.
That's beautiful. So we're hearing your funding is very much value-based, that aligns with your values. There's, the buzzword as a fundraiser, as when we fundraise, it's about outcomes. What are you achieving from the money that you're giving in, right? We know funders, when you're running a business and you're starting out, you look to investors, and they ask what's going to be the ROI. In nonprofits, investors, funders are saying, what's going to be my SROI, my social return on investment, and being able to tell your story effectively is what warms up your heart, and it does become an emotions are stirred, and it's aligned with your values. Is there a specific case study or a project that you are proud to be funding year after year? What comes to your mind as an example for us to hear as a story to be able to take from it?
So there's the obvious biggest one is one that I have a lot of personal connection to, but it's a yeshiva that my kids all went to. It's a elementary school, and I'm passionate about it first because I have hakaras hatov for what it gave to our family. So that is personal. I will admit that's not. It's definitely but it expands way broader than that. It's contextual. So it's a 70-year-old institution. So they have a deep history and a rich history. And I just went to an event. It was a 40th yahrzeit commemoration of the founder of the yeshiva, and I thought, wow, like you're really part of something huge here, and they've impacted so many generations of Jewish everything's leaders, non-leaders, whatever, every profession, every Eretz Yisrael. I mean, it just also I feel like an organization, an institution like this institution is a place where you want to feel like you are adding some value. So if you're like one of like hundreds of other people, I mean, this is a bad example, but I'll use it anyway. So for example, APAC. Okay, APAC is an organization that I do fund, our family funds, et cetera, but because the impact is, we feel very, very great, and they are a critical player in the space that they're in, but no ambiguity about it. Like nobody cares about Leslie Ostrin at APAC. I'm not not that I have to be a somebody somewhere, but you do want to, as long as I feel like I can make an even tiny contribution in an organization, then I feel like it's, that's worthwhile. And if not, there's plenty of other people who, there's so many talented, wonderful people who can be involved that, but that's part of the reason why I feel like the yeshiva that I'm involved in, I have a history of working there, and I feel like I can still add a little bit of value.
Leslie, thank you for that answer. I just want to stress something of what everybody just heard. This is something we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat at charity. After you do the charity, that's when your fundraising begins. Every one of your donors, whether you're Leslie Ostrin or, Susan Smith, they deserve the follow-up. They deserve to hear, that there's somebody for your organizations. Now we can put on your fundraising hat.
Okay.
Now, a different persona, because now you're like all of us. What tips can you share with us when you're the fundraiser?
Fundraising. So I feel like I'm in an audience of people who, and I know some of you who are way more skilled at fundraising than am I, but so we each could, schmooze for the rest of the day and share, all of our different. I think I'd say there's a couple different things. So as a lay leader, so I believe a lot of people here are on the professional side, but I would say as a lay leader, so I think there are many things that are important from a fundraising perspective. One that is a huge challenge, everybody's going to know what I'm talking about, when either side, whichever side you're on, is just that collaboration between the lay and the professional side, both having such a huge opportunity to make an impact. That is something that can be very challenging, and that I would just basically say comes down to relationships and relationship building, which, since this is a women's group, I would say I think I'm not at all like, girl power, although there's a little bit of that. I won't lie. There's a little girl power, but guys are good too. But I think I think that we have a special, possibly not all, and I do not mean to stereotype at all. And there are many men who are phenomenal relationship builders. But I think, like, in the big picture, if we had to, we sort of have, there's like a intuitive something about relationship building, which is very, 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 very can be very, very successful in the fundraising area, meaning that it's all about relationships, almost all about relationships. So if you're, and that goes everything from making sure that the executive assistant, feels like the president or head of the organization, because they're so amazing. Those people are the ones who are like, I don't know if we have any here in the, but they are the ones who literally move the entire organizations forward, not even the heads. They're the ones who do all of the work that drive things forward, and good relationships with those people are critical, believe it or not, to success in the fundraising scene. But then I think relationship building, also timing plays into the relationship building. Timing is something I feel like we have some control over, and some is clearly in Hashem's sphere. So you could be trying to cultivate a donor, let's say, and it just isn't working out, and you're not getting the meeting, or it's months and months are going by, or you finally meet with a person and they're say no, and we could feel like really badly about that and really bummed about that, which understandable. And on the other hand, first of all, so many donors say no for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time, and then the sixth time it's the right timing and everything fits together. And so it's the other thing I think is also it's so not personal. That's the other thing I would say about that I've really learned in the fundraising capacity is that for people who don't, actually there are many people, I started fundraising, not even fundraising, but I had to make my obligatory federation Super Sunday calls. And it was like horrifying, like I'm calling people I don't even know, and and I did it because it was the right thing to do. And but then I really learned, I actually learned this mostly from my dad, who's a phenomenal fundraiser. I really learned so much from him. So like role models I think are super helpful. That it's not, my role is just to give somebody else or some organization or somebody an opportunity. Their job is to figure out whether they want to engage and jump on it, or whether the timing's not right for them also. So it's not personal. It's not. I do not feel. I no longer. I've gone through so many experiences of feeling badly and frustrated and upset and what didn't I do and what should I have done and how did I, But it's not. I don't think it's about that. I think it's just, For time?
Does that mean it's over?
Yeah, maybe
over?
time up.
So-
Yeah, it's just about giving people an opportunity and doing that to the best of your ability.
So thank you so much.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to wrap on these 3 points because I think those were very, very good takeaways. And then following this, Kyla Kaufman's father, Herschel Liner, is having a great panel in the back to the ballroom. But let's just finalize on the 3 things we just heard. The first one was brilliant. Note it. I always say in every band, you always need the second violin. Because they make the band. The executive assistant, know who they are. They make all the difference and have a relationship with her. Brilliant. Number 2, when you get a no, it hurts. Nobody wants to be rejected. Unfortunately, we get rejected from when you're 6th grade and the friends start. It's horrible. Leave your ego on the side. It's just no, not yet. And keep strong and persevere. That was the second excellent thing. And the third excellent thing, it'll come back to me for a second. Really, the thing that you learned from your father that was excellent.
Oh, just that you're giving people an
Yes.
opportunity. Yeah, that you're giving
Yes,
people an
always
opportunity.
remember that you're the one that's fundraising. You're the one that's committed to a cause. You're giving the other person the opportunity to partner with you to be able to achieve the good work that you're doing. 3 excellent points in addition to everything. Thank you so much.